Fog machine. It should be there. You just hit the button, James.
Somebody tell me where our hosts are?
Yeah.
What?
I felt scared that you could hear me chewing.
I heard like a hum.
Wide on set.
Alright, let's get this done.
Roll camera. Roll sound.
Season 1, Episode 5, Marker.
And action.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new episode of All the Hats, a podcast about filmmaking and industry. My name is Eric with a K.
And I'm James Geary.
And today we're going to do something a little different. Something that we both said we would never do when we started the podcast, but yet here we are. And today we're going to be reviewing a movie. Although the review may not be quite like most reviews because we are not critics by any means, but hey, why not? We decided to watch something and here we are. So, with that said, recently Netflix released a new original film called Malevolent.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And how do we start this? Are we going to go step by step through it, or are we going to?
Yeah, I mean, we will
from beginning to end, or just
I don't think we need to. I think it just kind of be kind of broad and just wherever you pick it up, whatever scene, whatever. But first, let me tell you a little bit about it real quick. It does star Florence Pugh and Ben Lloyd Hughes. It was directed by Olaf de Flor Johannesson, and basically the story is about two siblings, Jackson and Angela, who run a profitable ghost busting racketeering thingy, where they basically just go around swindling people using fake equipment and Angela's quote unquote fake visions. However, when those visions start to become real, she finds herself in a haunted house, trying to uncover a very dark, mysterious secret, only to find out that now she has to fight for her life.
And it sounds like a good setup, huh?
It does. It really does. I was kind of a little bit excited for it. I like Netflix, I do, but a lot of these original movies and shows on Netflix, Hulu, etc., they're not always up to par. I don't know why. Well, there's a lot of things about this film that were good, but there's also quite a few things that were bad. And honestly, the plot itself was a little off. It started off really strong. I thought the story started off really strong.
Strong, but it was kind of slow in the beginning.
It was kind of slow in the beginning. It took probably around close to 30 minutes before something really started happening. But
it was setting things up.
It was setting things up.
I was fine.
Which is fine. I mean, as long as it's setting up, that's the important thing. But the problem was that once we did finally get into the meat of the story, it just wasn't very satisfying.
Yeah.
It wasn't very scary. There weren't any jump scares that I was kind of hoping for in a haunted house, scary movie thing. I think a lot of it was supposed to be more atmospheric, but even that was off because even though the house itself was dark, in the picture, it was still daylight outside. And that kind of took away from this haunting mood of the story, I think.
It didn't really bother me.
Didn't it bother you?
Like the daylight didn't bother me.
See, I don't know. It bothered me a little bit. Like I said, as long as they're indoors, it was fine.
Bad things can happen during the day.
When they went outside.
So you're saying when they left?
When they left.
You would rather it be night?
I would have rather it been night when they left. But I think really the story got lost when they started to... Well, honestly, it was with the woman that they went to help. Because the story kind of... It's like they tried throwing in a twist, and they were unsuccessful with that twist.
I mean, what was the twist? Oh, the twist was... Yeah, there's going to be spoilers. Yeah. So just understand that. We're just going to talk about the movie in general. I mean, it's on Netflix. Just either watch it or don't watch it. I suggest watching something else. It's fine in the beginning. and I don't know. I didn't feel horrified at all. If you like bad, scary-ish movies, this would be good for you. But if you're like me, this probably wouldn't work for you, and you skip over it. Yeah.
Right.
So, like in the beginning, if they go to their first place, right, and we see that we already know that they're faking it because they just pretty much kind of show that that's what's happening right in the beginning. They're like, we're faking it. They're whispering like in corners, which I don't think anybody would really do. Like if you're faking it, you're going to be faking it the whole time you're at the place where you're faking it
Right.
at. I wouldn't go around whispering. You should know what you're doing. Like you should know how the con's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody might catch you whispering.
Right.
So I don't know. So it already felt like a little weird to me that these guys, because they were like really pushing that they were faking it, and I got it. Like it didn't have to be like, I don't know.
No, I agree, and I think that's that fault. There's a few things at fault with the writing side of it,
and there's a few things that like they set up in the beginning that never came back.
Nope.
Like the dad of the, like he was there for one scene and that's it.
And it was really just to build some type of emotion in the character Angela.
But I think it could have been built a different way.
It could have been because I think it was based on the fact where it was at the moment where she was starting to see visions.
Yeah.
And she was unclear of what it was or what it really meant. But supposedly her mother had seen visions when she was younger. She was a clairvoyant or a medium of some sort. And nobody believed her when she was alive. And as part of the result, she ended up committing suicide because of the vision she was seeing. And so when Angela started doing this, and she kind of brought up her mom in front of her grandfather, I think it was, or was it her dad? Maybe it was her dad. I don't really know.
Maybe it was. No, he loved her. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't recall.
I think it was her grandfather.
He was
because I think like when she went to the door when we first meet.
Oh yeah,
he was like,
playing,
"Who are
like,
you?" And
yeah.
she's like, "Grandpa, don't." So yeah, so definitely a grandfather. Anyway, we just learned that how I guess disappointed he was in her mother, in her mother, for pretending to see things or making up stories. Which, of course, in this movie we realize or learn through Angela that they're not stories. It was a genetic thing that was passed down, in some way. And all it really did, honestly, I don't know what it did. It kind of just made her upset.
I think it just told the history
told a quick
of the
history,
family
which,
and the person that she cared about probably the most. Her brother, other than her brother, was her grandfather. So that's where she felt safe. At least that's the way it seemed to me. After she saw the visions, she went there because she felt safe there. That's what I'm assuming. But I feel like we could have wrapped that around and had some ending with that. I don't know.
Right.
With her going back there because she feels safe there or something. But that didn't happen. So he's just there for that one scene. There's not any kind of like resolution with that at all. Maybe he could have realized that, maybe this is real. I don't know.
I feel like there could have been more.
There could have been something.
You had mentioned as we were watching it, you're like,
or she called him and he came out to pick them up.
yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like he could have came back into the story, and he was a strong actor too. It wasn't like, I feel like I've seen him before.
Look, I mean, it was an independent film.
Yeah.
The story wasn't all there. When you look at the IMDb and see how many producers were on board, obviously they were trying to get financing anywhere they can.
Yeah.
One thing that you had mentioned while we were watching it, because this film was only 88 minutes long, not very long, which is fine.
It felt longer.
It's fine for a horror film. Like a lot of horror films are around 80 minutes or so. But the problem is that they sacrificed their story for the time, because as we were watching it, you had mentioned there's a lot of B-roll, just a lot of random shots that really don't move the story forward. And you had mentioned you think that maybe it was filler, which it could have been.
And I mentioned it when it was just looking down a stairwell and like slowly creeping around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was going to reveal something.
Yeah.
But we're just looking down a stairwell.
Well, and the stairwell was a completely different part of the house than where the main characters were. Because the thing was, like, the main character heard a voice, and she, like, kind of listened in, and then we're in a stairwell and just kind of moving slowly. And there's no shadows, there's nothing like that. Like, you would expect some type of movement, or even to see our main character at the bottom of the stairs. But there were two very different rooms, and it was really just used as a transition.
And I think I realized pretty soon, early on, that the girls weren't bad.
Mm-hmm.
The girls in the house. And I don't know what made me think all these ghosts aren't really that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they didn't do anything. They were just leading her somewhere or whatever. Like, so, like, and then I knew early on also that the woman was.
Right.
But, like, in my head, I was kind of hoping that it would link back to her family somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somehow her mother is connected to whatever's happening.
Right.
Maybe her mother was in that place.
Right.
Connected in some way to that place. Or her grandmother, even.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Especially when well, that's what. Okay, so
like if she's like drawing them specifically to that place,
right?
I feel like there should be
a
reason.
That's the part that was really weak about the story, is because she did draw them there originally, and her claim was that she was hoping if they heard the voices that she heard, they could get rid of the spirits. When she found out they were all just show and faking it, she asked them to leave. And when they didn't leave, she turned around and decided to capture everybody and torture them.
Okay, so
trying to kill them.
How did she decide that they were all just show?
I don't know.
Because
they didn't really like.
Well, I was assuming it didn't really show it.
Mm-mm.
But I was assuming that she was still sitting in front of the screen while the camera was swinging after the kid fell down into that room.
Mm-hmm.
So she's still sitting in front of the screen. She's hearing what's going on because the camera's hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
So the girl's saying that she really saw these girls.
Mm-hmm.
And the boy's saying, you know, pretty much giving up their thing, saying that, you know, this isn't real. This is, you know, all that stuff. So obviously the conclusion she would come to wouldn't be this isn't real. Maybe they are fakes, but for some reason they are seeing this for real now.
Right.
That's the conclusion that she should come to. If she was still, I don't know where else she would have gone.
Right.
You know, if she wasn't sitting in front of the camera.
Right. Well, and on top of that, so the backstory to these little girls, these ghosts, is that her son ended up killing these girls, torturing them in a way, and then killing them. And that's about all she says. And you would suspect it was in the newspapers and all that. That I suspected, it's what I understood, was that he must have been in prison or something like that. Only to find out in the end that he was still in the house. And now he was going to go around and capture the people who were there to do the investigation and break their teeth and cut off their tongues, sew their mouths shut. But for what? You know, none of it made sense. There was no motive, because the woman throughout that whole portion of the story, it's probably around in the second act, toward the end of the second act even, she's talking about how these girls would not shut up. They were just loud and noisy, and they were the evil ones, which means she obviously had something to do with it, with what happened to them. But the group that were in there investigating, they weren't the same. They were just doing their job.
Even if they were loud or noisy.
Right.
They were trying to leave.
Right. And she told them to leave.
And I understand by a certain point that once the guy fell in that room, they saw the scratches on the walls and all that stuff. Maybe she was like, "Oh, my cover's blown.
That could have been what
I need to keep this
because she did
secret."
say, "Stay out of the East Wing," which
why would you
also
invite people in your
didn't work.
house to get rid of spirits
if they can't
even go in
house? I know.
to other places in the house?
Mm-hmm. Look, there are a lot of things in the plot that were there were a lot of holes in this plot. Let's talk about the B story for a moment. And the B story was that
The love, the
boy
and the girl,
the brother with his drugs. The whole
I don't
reason
even
they went to
forgot
this
about
house.
that.
Exactly. So the brother, what's his name again? Jackson.
Yeah.
He does drugs, which is very...
They
they barely touch it.
Yeah.
On it. You know, you see him pop an edible a couple times, and that's it. And that's it. You don't even see him react. Like, there's no effect.
Yeah.
But we see a scene where he's waiting for his drug dealer, and the drug dealer shows up and beats him with a pipe, and then that's it. And then all of a sudden we
Those
hear,
guys never show up again.
yeah. And then Jackson's like, we need to do this job, one more job, because they're gonna kill me.
That's the whole.
And
that
that's it.
pushes the plot forward, and that's it. It ends.
It ends.
There's no like other connections or anything.
And I'm just thinking you could have had a much better B story that connected to it all, and still push everything forward.
Yeah.
You know,
That blonde was pretty much pointless.
she really was. There was no reason for her to be in there.
She wasn't even like. How many lines did she have? Like 2.
Yeah, not much.
She pushed a walkie,
She pushed a walkie, and
she set up like some audio stuff
yeah.
on the recorders so they can fake that they're spirits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know what her deal was. And she was the first one to be
sewn
and placed in the attic of all places. Like, why the attic? That made no sense either. None of it made sense. It was just
why sew her mouth shut in the first
random.
place?
She didn't say. She literally said 2 words, and it wasn't even really there at that house. Man. Look, I had some not high hopes, but I had hoped that this movie would have been at least okay.
I think there's ways that it could have been better.
For sure.
Let's take this, rewrite it, and
Right.
make it different enough. Keep the drug story going forward. Connect the family to the
Look, if they would have kept the drug
situation.
if they would have kept the whole drug story in there, they would have extended it at least another 25 minutes.
mm-hmm.
That drug
and then
story
take
could have,
out some of the B-roll.
all that would have played so nicely into the psychological aspect of it all. Because one of the main things that they talk about in the summary is how Angela has to decide what's real and what's not real. And I didn't.
There's never a point where she's doing that.
No, I don't see it, and I definitely don't feel it. But I feel like if there were drugs involved, then we can see that psychological.
Maybe she's not
aspect of it.
Maybe she's not usually the one that does drugs. Maybe somehow she gets an edible somehow accidentally, like the brother does the drugs,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow she gets one of his edibles, and now she's trying to figure out what's going on. And then it also puts us in a position, what's going on? Like, is this real? Is this not?
Right.
Also, don't have the first one. Don't even show anything. Like, don't have that mannequin.
Oh yeah.
There's. I understand you want to do that for suspense, but it kind of takes away from the what is real, what is not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe have something. Maybe just have the mannequin turn.
Right.
Not attack her, but like just do the turn thing still, where she sees it, and then her nose bleeds.
Right.
Still do. Maybe a lot of films do the nosebleed thing.
Which I'm fine with.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
It's kind of getting a
the
little
way that they
annoying
did it
sometimes.
was kind of. I don't know.
It's like a Stranger Things. I did it in my short film at school. Like everybody has like nosebleeds.
But your thing was before Stranger Things and all that other stuff. So I mean, but even still, it's I see what you're saying. But I think they use it as part of the whole, like it being in the mind, because whenever it seems like when it gets a nosebleed in these type of movies, it's all because it's related to their brain in some sense.
Yeah, mine was in my short film. It was not superpowers or anything. She was literally about to die. So
right.
It wasn't like some crazy thing like in this film or Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So I think mine made more sense in a reality type way, but nosebleeds.
Well, what was good about it? The
cinematography was not perfect, but I think it was good. Like I think it was good in the sense of sometimes like it was sporadic. Like it literally was like just moving around the room, like somebody was literally filming it as they go. And I kind of like that in this type of thing because it feels like you're really a part of the situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I kind of like the way they cut back between
because he had a camera.
Yeah, the guy's point of view camera and like found footage type thing.
Yeah,
and then back to the real cinematic view. You know, I like that. I like
even
that
when he
difference, that
fell
change.
down in the hole and the camera was swinging back and forth. They would show like the view from the camera swinging back and forth and stuff.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of using that.
What I didn't like was how much they used the focus, or how much they started a scene off out of focus, and then had somebody.
Pay attention
you didn't pay attention. It only happened in the first half of the movie, and then they completely quit.
Maybe they
the
had like
half.
a different group of people making it.
But it's like every scene. It seemed like a character would start out of focus and then step into focus.
Yeah.
And the next thing they'd be out of focus and step into focus. Or it'd be something they're looking at and it's out of focus and then it's in. I'm just like, oh my goodness. There's too much.
I understand it's a tool that they use when somebody's going in and out of like consciousness, that they go black and then come back up. But with this TV, for some reason, like the TV literally turns off every time it goes to black.
Oh, you're talking about that one fade to black that they did towards the end of the movie.
No, it did it a couple times when she was like,
times?
when she's waking up after being tied to the chair.
Yeah.
And before she knows her brother beside her.
Yeah.
It like goes to black.
Yeah, that's
TV cuts off.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back on, comes out of black.
This is an LG, right?
Yeah. It was kind of annoying. And it did it a couple times.
I've got an
like
LG
3
at
times.
home that does the same thing. And that's because TVs like this, I don't know if this one is like mine, but
it's like an energy saver.
Not that it's an energy saver. Well, I guess it is an energy saver because it's basically somehow picking up the light, the ambient light within the room or from outside, and it adjusts its screen tone and color so that it's better on your eyes.
Yeah.
So when the screen does go dark to a certain point, it will shut itself down, and then. Which kind of takes you out of the movie because I'm like, did my TV just shut off?
LG should really think about that and maybe put a timer on that for those types of effects in movies.
Well, and it doesn't just do it with black; it does it with white too. Because when a white screen, like a really bright white screen, which you often see in commercials and stuff like that, it'll come up super bright white, and then the TV will gray itself out a little bit. And it'll dull the white because it's too bright for what we're seeing in the room.
Yeah.
You know, if it was daylight outside, it would stay nice and bright.
But if it would adjust like slowly instead of like blinking out.
Yeah, no,
blinking
it's like,
up. Yeah. You know, I don't like that.
Yeah.
LG, work on that. Yeah, so that wasn't a criticism of the movie. That was a criticism of LG.
Yes.
Because we should be able to use those types of effects.
But speaking of LG, because now for some reason it made me think of equipment. I don't know why, but maybe it's just our background and stuff. But one thing that bugged the heck out of me that I brought up to you, and you're like, yeah, was the way the characters brought their equipment into this person's house and just started throwing their equipment on the person's couches and stuff like that. And I'm like, I would never do that on set.
I think it was on purpose to show that they're not really like... people.
See, but that's the thing though, because so they're obviously hustling. That's the whole point. They're hustling. But if you're gonna hustle, you need to do it as if it's the real thing. You know, you got to trick whoever it is, because she knew right off the bat. The character was like, "There's something not right about you. You're talking in a way that's just not normal." You know, the way Jackson was trying to comfort her, and he like kneel before her and before the old woman, like. You know,
they had so many good things set up in the beginning that they could have used, and it's so annoying to me because like they had he was listening to like little like tapes. Yeah. I liked it.
No, I liked it, but it didn't.
But if we're gonna do it, like I think there should also be like sort of not a payoff, but like a negative effect. He's using that to be more confident or be more assertive or be more like in control of his life, and then show him losing control in more of a noticeable way. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Obviously he's losing control, but like
but
he needs to
look,
Not just physically, but like emotionally
Yeah.
losing control.
Honestly, I think if they would have taken that particular element and gave it to Angela,
Yeah.
let her hear these self-help tapes about her mind and how to remember, like, you can't control life, but you can control your mind.
Yeah.
That would have helped put another element to her story, and that what is real and what isn't. Are
And
these
what would
ghosts
you
what I'm
give?
saying?
What elements would you give him?
He doesn't need elements. He's on drugs
does.
anyway. Like, I mean, we
He
could have played the
needs-
whole
we-
drug thing.
No, there was no drug thing though.
No, I know, but if we gave him more drug stuff to deal with, like, that would
Yeah.
have been a better thing. Because I mean, this dude, like, it just didn't pay off. There was no story to it. It was like, we just need some audio other than a music score for this length of time that he's walking through a house. Oh, I know. Let's put these little self-help voice on his ears and do nothing with it.
I can think of like a billion ways this could have been better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't. Like, it's like all the things that they set up that should have been good weren't used
And
in
you know what?
ways.
And I think
it's like on purpose. Like,
it seems that way.
it's like the filmmakers are like, screw you for having any idea of what could be better.
Yeah, and I think that's what frustrates me the most. If this movie just came off like right from the bat, just was horrible, like a horrible B movie, terrible writing, terrible acting, you know, all that is like, okay, fine, it's a B movie. I love B movies, you know, I'll watch a B movie all the time. But when you have all these things that are set up so nicely and it has so much potential from the beginning all the way through the entire film, but you don't capitalize on those things, that's when I really get disappointed and upset with the filmmakers, because I'm like, you had it. You had the
so
opportunity. You could have done it. Like, it was there. But for some reason, I don't know, maybe it was the producers, maybe one of the companies that were involved were like, well, we need to hack all this
we
out.
don't want
But
we
I
don't
don't know.
want drug use or something.
You
So
never
they
know, you know.
so they cut it all
you
out.
never know what it was. Maybe it was just bad writing, period.
Yeah.
I don't know. The acting was decent.
Oh yeah, I think that too. I think the acting was good. I think the cinematography was good. Obviously, there were the little things even in the cinematography that
Right.
seemed kind of indie. But in the sound, I didn't have any problems with the sound.
No, sound is pretty spot on.
It's just the story.
Yeah. Because it could have, I mean, the photography, the acting, all could have been bad. And if the story was good, it could have potentially still been a good movie.
I mean, I think maybe the director could have done better. Even with a bad story, if we could have made some of the characters more likable, you can do that with dialogue. You can do that with how they say a line.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The director's like, can you not say it so mean? We want you to actually be nicer with this one, or something like that. Like, it's a joke.
Right.
It's
Well,
just
I think what
like,
they were trying to do
I'm
too
picking on you type of
is
thing.
like, Jackson was obviously using the drugs as a coping method for the loss of his mother when she committed suicide. But they didn't really pay too much attention to that suicide, minus a couple of scenes with Angela. And so when he was being angry towards Angela and yelling and stuff like that, it just didn't really make sense to me as to why, because, I mean, I know why, but they didn't really...
And then how did the mom die?
She committed suicide. But they didn't explain how, because all they said was she scratched her eyes out.
She scratched her eyes out.
And I'm pretty sure you can't die by just scratching your eye out.
No, I don't think so.
So, I mean,
You
unless
go blind.
she was
but-
sitting around and it got infected, but she'd have
Yeah.
to be sitting around for quite a long time. So none of that really, they don't play on any of that. It's...
I don't know. I feel like that was just too dramatic. Maybe just committing suicide was enough, you know? Not being able to deal.
Well, yeah, for sure. But it would be nice if they helped us understand why he was feeling that way.
I feel like the film is trying to say the monsters are the people, not necessarily the ghosts, right? Because the real people were the problem in this story.
Right.
So I think that first scene where she gets attacked by the mannequin for some reason, I don't think she should have gotten attacked. Maybe the mannequin can move and she could be like, I don't know if I'm seeing this for real or not. It's kind of creepy. We see that she's seeing things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can still have a story that's like, okay, the monsters are not the ghosts, it's the people. And then we can play off that through the whole thing. I don't usually attack themes. I don't really care usually.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to have something like that you're focusing on throughout most of the movie, don't have like this one little scene that throws it off. Like,
Right.
There's no reason to.
Right.
I don't know why I keep attacking the beginning of the movie, but it's because it doesn't pay off in the end. It's like all these things, they don't really set anything up.
Well, and then also like on top of that is in the beginning, you're expecting certain things to happen with their first the first investigation we see, and it's like they enter the house, they tell the guy what they're going to do, and then 3 minutes later, investigation's over, and they got rid of the ghost just like that. And I was like expecting to see
Got rid of the
quote unquote got rid of the ghost, and I expected more.
What if that came back? I don't know how that would come back, but
well, I think so. It's actually funny because I've talked about this on my other show before recently, and it was one of the ideas when it comes to all that paranormal stuff is that the majority of it is in one's mind. And so if you can ease someone's mind, then the ghost, whatever it is, just disappears. So if somebody believes that the ghost is gone, then the ghost is gone.
Yeah.
Basically. So if that's the case, and that's what they were doing, though mind you, I really don't think they were out to help anyone. They're just out to make $1.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I can see if the writers were trying to go along that path to some extent.
Yeah, they weren't.
No, it doesn't seem like it anyway.
They weren't going along
Not in
that
the
path.
end. Not in the end.
But I think we're towards the end of this thing too. So, so this has been All the Hats Pod with James, Gary,
And Eric with a K.
Goodbye.
See ya.
And cut.
Good.
Cut. Nice. You want me to cut that one? So we'll go ahead and talk it.
That was simple. Same thing.
Second team in.
Okay.